The what has been the situation on campuses prior to Friday, as far as activities of political parties are concerned?
Prior to Friday, the UNAM Political Science Society scheduled an event, a political event, and it's a political society with political science students, mind you. There was an event organized, but the event was cancelled because of no political activity. There was a time where there was a lot of political activity at UNAM. You know, a lot of political parties have branches at UNAM, but that activity stopped in April after it was banned. So the situation is that, of course, young people are longing for political activity. I mean, we saw that young people today, when we were at UNAM, young people today came out and they were in support of what LPM was doing. And even though campus police, campus security and the police asked them to leave, they came to us, they took our flyers and they said that we stand with LPM because we want political activity on campus. And that is the spirit of young people that we like. Prior to this ban, there was political activity on UNAM. And that is where I believe that young people must start their political journeys. If we don't teach them politics, or if they don't engage in political activity at university where they are being groomed in terms of what they're studying, groomed in terms of maturing, groomed in terms of learning responsibility to exist as an individual beyond campus life once they finish their degree. So why can't they start their political activity there and then? If NANSO used to be on campuses, why not? If there's a political process in terms of how SRCs are even elected, why can't there be political activity? It's that type of hypocrisy that we don't like, and we will not stand for it, nor will we condone it.
I hear you. I think the university, apart from Feni Duchawe that you spoke about now here, there is, I mean, I wrote in my editorial today that the universities generally have a history of being the El Dorado of politics, of shaping people into that civic citizens before they release them into society. I mean, Bernardo Swartboy, if I'm not mistaken, he cut his teeth in politics at UNAM. Pohamba Shifeta was president of SRC at UNAM. So many others. So UNAM, I mean, being a former UNAM student myself, even during my time there, it used to be a very vibrant environment. That's why it was a bit shocking in April when Ellen Namila issued that directive. And that directive of banning campus political activities was issued just hours before the affirmative repositioning movements society, also student society, was to host Job and Pana that evening. And it had to be called. So it sounded as if it was actually targeted at that. And then we had academics at UNAM, Job and Pana himself, Dr. Kasera, Professor Blau, Dr. Nakuta, all these guys. Emails were flying at UNAM that day, people saying, this is stifling, you're actually morphing this institution into turning it into a very docile institution. How important is it, before you go for a break, how important is it that the ban itself, I mean, partisan, the bias is one thing of allowing one party to do these things while others are not allowed. But having that ban in place is quite problematic, isn't it?
It's a very problematic ban because you're policing students. You're policing students and you're telling them that they're not allowed to participate in political activity on their own campus in an independent state. Why are they policing young people? But Sopo Party Youth League is not being policed.
Yeah.
At all.
I hear you. That's why
And it's not correct, Toivo. It's not correct because we're policing and we're silencing young people. Young people who are eager to participate in politics. If they were not eager, I don't think they would have also stood with us today.
If there's such a strong feeling that these judgments by what you call the administrative staff, the registrar in this case, are unconstitutional. Why is it taking so long to sort of overturn the current status quo?
You should look at the unaccountability of the appointment of judges. In our case, for instance, the court openly stated that it will not implement the Constitution. It's very careful to touch the Constitution when issuing a judgment or decide any issue. But if you look at what the Constitution says, the Namibian Constitution, it says a court shall be subject only, and the word is only, to this Constitution and the law. Yes. Now both the law is also subject to the Constitution. It must be constitutional. Yeah. Now if when a whole nation has accepted a constitution as the supreme law and the judge decides that they will not implement it, that's high treason.
Yeah. So what in your view would you say would bring a court to this conclusion, which you are clearly baffled as to how they arrived at this conclusion?
I'm not actually baffled about it. There are two issues. In our case, in my particular case, it is also linked to political victimization because my water and my prepaid electricity had been cut off. We've got no access to municipal services of whatsoever nature. And we get visited regularly by municipal officials, even accompanied by soldiers and by police with AK-47s in an effort to intimidate us. But that is political. But the actual situation is that there is a merger between the banks and the state. They even serve judges in their chambers, these banks. Now that is not allowed. The judges need to be independent. And further on, you can, the way that the judges behave as far as these matters are concerned, show that there is a closer relationship. There's also proof, I mean, the open proof is that these judges, some of them are board chairmen of they were board chairmen of the banks. They've got a close, incestuous relationship with the banks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you also mentioned earlier on before we started that there was sort of regulations to sort of protect the homeowners, where it was prohibited for building societies and banks to sort of come together, merge. What was the thinking around that, and how was it handled?
We wrote extensively on that issue. It's the building society prohibits banks from merging or building society merging with any other business entity except with a building society. They could merge with another building society. But in this case, they claim they used all sorts of subterfuges. First, they linked it to the City Savings Bank. They said it had merged and they had formed the Swabo Bank Limited. But there is, if you go through the situation, you go through a maze of dubious dealings. Because this Swabo Bank that was purportedly formed in 2002 was actually a unit of the Southwest Africa Building Society that was registered already in 94. It is the Swabo Bank. Its registration number is 94/081. And all these dark dealings took place. There are many, the load of them. And through that, the First National Bank was able to seize the 3.7 billion home loan book,
Yeah.
with the entire home loan market of 60%. SWAPO commanded 60% of the home loan market in this country.
Yeah.
The SWAPO manifesto and that of IPC, I will just read from what the two parties said. As far as Namibian Sun, as far as what Namibian Sun reported is concerned, it says here that in its election manifesto, SWAPO promises to create over 250,000 jobs over the next 5 years, while IPC elected not to dive into numbers, but listed a myriad of reforms of systems and current institutions, such as the Development Bank of Namibia, to make job creation easier. And the story goes on to say, of course, that Namibia faces a staggering high unemployment rate, with around 40% of youth unemployed. This is not a simple number. You could almost say, Enko, here that even 250,000 people, if 40,000, I mean, if 40% of young people are unemployed, even 250,000 jobs is not a big number in the picture, because the elections, the voter registration results that came out recently from ECN says that 900,000 of the voters that registered are young people. Of course, some of those are employed. But what is your assessment of these promises by the political parties, as someone who's job hunting?
Wow. Well, I think there will be some kind of conflict of interest if I am to answer to that, specifically to the promises made by the political parties.
Yeah.
I can rather only say or advance for people to get this book. It's a book written by a brother, Franz Philippe Kanjilu. It's a job versus work. And it's for those, not only those who are looking for jobs, but also those who are already in the job market, on how to perform and take the seriousness of their job, because certainly taking a job for granted would be an insult to those who have no jobs. Yeah. So
why are you conflicted by political parties? Young people must be able to express themselves on whether they have faith in what is being promised, or at least demand what they want to see from political parties. Those are your leaders. They want to be your leaders.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I just wish to reserve my thoughts on what the two parties have promised.
Okay.
Like I said, conflict of interest. Yeah.
How about things like attracting investments that companies set up in Namibia, and that that automatically comes with the need to employ people?
Yeah. Well, okay, I see now where you are driving to. Well, we are establishing new industries, or new industries are coming up now. And these new industries are the oil and gas. So we should find a way in which we can enhance those who have been through the education system. And this is by capacitating them with what the new industries are bringing. And this can only be a greater employment creation if we grasp those who have already gone through the education system with some kind of guidance or skills and education. Yeah. So initially, if they are serious with the green hydrogen and the oil and gas, that would be an area where they can grasp as many people as possible that are unemployed. We have already attempted it, though. Myself and my colleagues, we have. After this 2016, we then found to have a database of so many graduates that are unemployed. And so we took it up to ourselves to say that since the president is promising that there will be 25,000 jobs provided by Harambee Prosperity Plan, let us organize 25,000 graduates who are unemployed and let us take them to State House. We have organized those graduates. We have had our meetings, and we took the small team that could go to the State House, and we have spoken to we have had the meeting with the President's Advisor on Youth Matters, but nothing has materialized from that. So a lot of promises are usually only smokescreen.
Yeah.
It has been views to say that is this really the sustainable model that we should approach? Is it sustainable from the start?
No, I think that's the discussion that needs to happen is that sustainability, longevity. Is this something we can keep doing every 4 years, every 6 years, every 2 years if we have a drought? With the world weather changing so drastically, we might have more droughts, or we might have floods. Then we might have flood relief because the the crops are destroyed. Again, we might have to do it. So is this a sustainable option? That's, I think, the more critical question, and having a plan around it, that's the utmost importance of, look, Zimbabwe is doing it now because, I mean, we started it. There is an issue of overpopulation of elephants in certain parts of Namibia, in Botswana. So if you look at sustainability, definitely not. I mean, the rest of the world doesn't even have elephants left.
Yes.
So if you look at it that point of view, no, it's not ideal. But priority is people. If people are dying of drought, we need to feed them. So I think, considering that, government took decisions that they thought is right to first save lives.
You've indicated that perhaps from a marketing perspective, this would make it difficult. Are there any policy interventions that one could think of on how to address or to deal with this matter?
It's always been challenging from that front, because it's not easy to convince somebody who doesn't live in Namibia or Africa why hunting is necessary. And it always polarizes people. Any discussion, anytime you bring up hunting, and hunting is something Google, Facebook, social media doesn't allow you to market. So it becomes a challenge. Even if you write the word hunting, a lot of articles are banned on social media. So how do you have to start looking at different ways to create awareness programs around it, teach people around it. At the airport, create awareness around it. And again, coming back to transparency, if we have more information how it really helps the industry and the country, it will gain a lot more support.
Apart from the issue of just culling the animals and then distributing the meat to needy community members, what other benefits are there to reap from this culling exercise?
I don't think there are any actual benefits except, we're doing it for the meat, for the people affected with drought. I think if we had a lot more drought relief programs in place, I know India and a couple of other countries are donating a lot of food to us to help with the drought, which will help mitigate the impact of it, which is culling of the animals. But at the same time, animals also don't have much to eat. And because of drought, they are also impacted. So if they die a natural cause death somewhere, I think that's one of the reasons they decided with the culling was that. But in terms of benefit, I don't think it benefits anyone except, like you said, the food part of it.
Well, most of the noise seems to be coming from outside. You've indicated international publications have written on these things. Namibia has always sort of been on the other end when it comes to these global conservation efforts, where our wildlife management strategies always seem to be in opposition to what the whole world, the direction where the whole world is going. Where are we not getting it right as a country to ensure that we are aligned to the global conservancy efforts?
But every country is different. And then I'll say, look, Namibia is a completely different demographics. Population is smaller than the amount of animals we have. If you look at bigger countries, they have a lot more people and very less space. That's why they build tall high rises. So they don't understand how Namibia works, how Botswana works, how Zimbabwe works. And I think that's again comes down to awareness and education. For instance, Ministry just had a statement saying we are culling so many animals, and that's it. They haven't had further engagement, discussions around it openly, where even criticism, they could address it if they had an open discussion platform. And that is a key in making others understand, because just from one press statement, how many international publications do you think received that statement, wrote their articles based on that? Because if you look at 50% of the publications, the numbers are wrong. They're writing, some are writing 500 animals, some are writing 200 elephants. So everybody's writing different figures because there's no open channel for discussion around it.
Hypothetically, if the tourism industry was consulted, what would you have placed on the table?
That's also very difficult to say. But we would have said, look at the studies from our side. Look at where the tourists go most. Again, an example of Etosha, Damaraland, all of those sides of the country. If we can see what you're proposing and we can find feedback from our side to say, leave these sections alone and let's find some other ways, then yes, we would have said, okay, we knew it was coming. And we could have also said in the press statement, explain a bit more about tourism side of things or something. And that awareness is lacking because of lack of consultations. And I think Ministry also need to looking at it as a two-way street to say, okay, we will start consulting before we make decisions like this. And linking it back to the visa issue. Nobody was consulted then as well, which directly impacts tourism.
Okay. So from a wildlife management perspective, and we've seen over the years the type of debates that have erupted when government tries to implement certain measures to sort of have this control. And what do you think can we still do to really, I know you mentioned consultation now, but what can we still do to ensure that we are all on the same wavelength when certain decisions are taken?
We are a democracy. It will never happen. In the sense that, look, we all have our viewpoints. We all have our different ways of looking at a single issue. And this is where a lot of times government takes decisions and it will never please everyone. None of the decisions will have 100% support, especially when it comes to wildlife conservation, anything to do with tourism. And I feel going forward to have open discussions around it, and especially looking at data, numbers. How many animals do we have where? So again, with Damaraland, the desert adapted elephants, we know the numbers are very few. So why was that decision taken? One can kind of get the meat from the other side of Namibia and still transport it there if your aim is to help the people there who don't have food. But those are the smaller questions and things we need to better plan for, and technology can help. I mean, having proper platforms, statistics platform for the number of animals. I think Naxo does do game counts, but we still don't have those accurate numbers on a yearly basis. And I think those things need to be opened up to public a bit more.